In this section, we'll be discussing the high-level infrastructure that makes SharePoint work in order to provide a common understanding between the various information management roles in SharePoint and the IT roles of SharePoint. Let's begin with a simple definition of infrastructure. I think the Collins English Dictionary had the simplest and most straightforward definition of infrastructure by defining it as the basic structure of an organization, system, etc. In our view of infrastructure through the lens of SharePoint, infrastructure will be the basic high-level structures which comprise SharePoint and make it work. We're going to divide SharePoint infrastructure into four key elements. Farms, or the servers from which SharePoint gains its computing functionality. Web applications, or the various bundled functionality that make up SharePoint. Site collections, the highest level container, which we previously discussed, and sites, which we too had previously discussed. Let's unpack these concepts with a graphic that originally came from Microsoft that we've modified to fit within this course. Farms are the groupings of servers which power SharePoint, and they contain databases, which store SharePoint configurations and metadata. Solutions, which provide functionality to SharePoint. Service applications, which are deployed resources that can be shared through an enterprise, things like the Managed Metadata Service, Excel service, and User Profile service. Alternate access refers to directing users to the appropriate URL or web address of various web applications, which is achieved at the farm or server level. Monitoring of things like system resources and leveraging monitoring for key metrics generally comes from the farm or server level. Security for SharePoint is applied at the farm level, and timer jobs are recurring tasks that happen at the server level. For example, continuously crawling content sources for inclusion within search results. Web applications are the various bundles of functionality that make up SharePoint. They include things like authentication provider connections, which connects our SharePoint logins to tools such as Active Directory, PeopleSoft, or any other corporate identification verification system. Content databases, which store the documents and content uploaded into SharePoint. Throttling, which reduces traffic to individual servers, protecting the system from shutdown at peak load times. Managed paths, which are the ways that we can create alternate URLs for various departments, divisions, or projects. Service connections, which allow us to connect various site collections to particular services that will be utilized. Features, which are configurable settings that can be turned on and off simply. Permissions, which allow us to ensure specific access and functionality is provided only to those that are authorized. Site collections, which we have discussed, connect together the pieces to form the user interface of SharePoint. Site collections pull together web parts, which, as we had discussed, are predefined bundled functionality that do things like provide a search box, show a picture, display Excel data, etc. Features, which are configurable settings within a site collection. Content types, which, as we had discussed, Microsoft defines as a reusable collection of metadata, workflow, behavior, and other settings. Site columns, which is Microsoft's way of describing metadata fields. So if you hear site columns, know that it's referring to what we more commonly call metadata fields. User solutions, which provide predefined functionality to perform a specific task and are generally specific configured web parts. Usage analytics, which give us insights into site collection usage. And auditing, which can give us insights into access and content audit trails. Then finally, sites, which are the lowest level of what we'll categorize as SharePoint infrastructure. They pull together features, lists, views, which are the chosen metadata fields to be displayed in lists and libraries, workflows, themes, which apply specific designs to SharePoint, layouts, which apply specific wireframes, if you will, to SharePoint, and alerts, which notify a user of specific activities performed. Let's dive into server farms. Server farms are the highest level of SharePoint infrastructure, and they provide the highest level of administrative functionality in SharePoint, though often that administration falls into the technical category of administration. It leverages tools like Windows Server and database software. Web applications are the various pieces of digital infrastructure that come together to form SharePoint functionality. A great example are the Office web apps, which provide Office functionality in the browser, giving you the functionality of desktop applications like Word, Excel, and PowerPoint within your browser window and working in conjunction with SharePoint. Site collections are site groupings that form the top level of your site hierarchy in SharePoint. They also provide the highest level of non-technical administration functionality within SharePoint, allowing non-technical folks to perform administrative tasks within the SharePoint system. Individual sites are a collection of pages which fit together underneath your site collections to form your site hierarchy in SharePoint. Sites, too, provide a non-technical administrative layer in SharePoint, allowing for the delegation of routine administrative tasks to the owners of various sites.